If you want to know something about yourself, sit on your bed one night and say, what's one thing I'm doing wrong?
What is the consequence, the long-term consequence of acting?
If you're a puppet and an actor, and Pinocchio is both at times in that movie, both a puppet and an actor. So why an actor? Like, why is there something wrong with being an actor? Well, the first question is, well, who sets your role? And then the second question is, who's pulling your strings? So you've put on this front that is there to make you popular and sexy and desirable and to mask from yourself your own inadequacies. But that's a role. Well, who wrote it? And for what purpose? And so Jung said, for example, that we all acted out a myth, and whether we knew it or not. And maybe you're acting out a tragedy. Maybe you're acting out Narcissus. You don't know, because you've put that on yourself in an attempt, in some ways, to deliver to people what they want, or more accurately, to look as though you're delivering to people what they want. And it's not nothing to do that, right? Because at least you're attempting, in some sense, to adapt to the social world. Someone who's really infantile and dependent, someone who's never left home, part of their problem is that they haven't crafted a persona. So you don't want to denigrate it entirely, but it's no substitute for the real thing. And it turns out that not only is what we want from each other the real thing, but that's also the adventure of your life. And so if you aren't truthful, and that means, unfortunately, especially at the beginning, when you start to be truthful, it means deeply coming to terms with your inadequacies in humility. So it's very painful. Without that, you don't have the adventure of your life. You have the role that you've acquiesced to. And that'll take all the meaning out of your life.
Everyone online, in some sense, is a celebrity of different proportions. They have their followers, they have their fans, let's say, and then the whole enterprise seems to facilitate image management. I know I think it's TikTok, there are real-time facial feature adjustment filters so that you can girls use them more than boys for obvious reasons. You can make your lips plumper and redder, you can make your eyes bigger, you can anime yourself, you can cutify yourself, to coin a terrible term, and you can do that in real time. And much of the reinforcement pressure seems to be directed towards attention seeking, and then that combined with the fact that there are almost no consequences for misbehavior seems to produce first of all, a toxic social environment, but also one that doesn't follow the same rules as actual face-to-face contact, which I think is the bigger danger. One of the things that's quite striking is that self-conscious thoughts load so heavily on neuroticism, they're almost indistinguishable from emotions. And so it looks like if you're self-conscious, if you're thinking about yourself, you are instantly miserable. And then if you're a teenage, then it gets worse for teenage girls, I think, because we also know that teenage girls experience a spike in neuroticism that's attendant on puberty, and that their self-conscious concerns tend to be particularly body-focused. And that's probably a consequence of the fact that females are evaluated more stringently as a consequence of their appearance, particularly when they're young. I mean, men are evaluated on the basis of their performance, let's say, but women tend to be evaluated more on the basis of their appearance. And so you can see that's a perfect storm for young girls, because they hit a negative emotion peak at 13. Now they're susceptible to bullying. They're extremely self-conscious about their bodies. And then the entire online world is a place to display for public. It's like the old nightmare that people have about public speaking, is being naked on a stage. That's really, in some real sense, what the social media world has done to teenage girls. So you see this with agoraphobia, right? People start to withdraw instead of approaching when they're anxious, and that makes their anxiety worse, so they're more likely to withdraw. You see it with depression, because depressed people are less likely to interact socially, and then they start to withdraw, and that makes them more depressed. They're less likely to go to work and so forth. You see it with alcohol, because people who develop alcohol tolerance start to drink to cure their hangover. And so there's a lot of pathological processes that are feedback loops that have got out of control. And if the narcissists are garnering excess attention online and the algorithms are amplifying that, then we have the makings of something like a virtual social epidemic.